cloning raises awkward questions about our sense of identity. If I get copied, am I still unique? Or is the clone me more unique because it's a clone, which is cooler? What makes me me and you and us and we?
You are not a tank. Well, unless your head is an 88mm 71 caliber 2,265 kilogram gun barrel and your body weighs 68.5 tons with a length of 34 feet. No. Then you'd be a Tiger II, developed by the Nazis during World War II. And you know, this is why Elon Musk isn't a Nazi. Nazis actually knew how to make beautiful cars. I mean, if you guys defended Ferdinand Porsche, I'd listen. Look at this classic Carrera GT. Okay. Back to tanks. Look at this silly Panzer. You can't swim, but you know what can? The ship of Theseus. There's an ancient Greek legend about a ship that launched from the port of Theseus and sailed around the world. Over time, due to wear and tears, all of its planks, uske sare lakdi ke patle, all the metal, sara crew, aista change ho gaya with an exact replica, to the point where not a single original part remained. Now here's the question. When the ship finally returned to Theseus, was it the same ship that left the dock? The answer lies in the concept of identity. If your answer was no, it's not the same ship, then at what point exactly did it become a different ship? And if your answer was yes, it's still the same ship, then you're saying its defining characteristic is its name, which is a choice, I guess. If over the course of 20 years, I replaced every part of your body and you develop dementia so you have none of your memories, you'll still likely say you're the same human. But why? In Romeo and Juliet, Juliet says, "What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without that title, Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself." Juliet is asking Romeo to change his name, because their family names are what's stopping them from being together. As we all know, their families were enemies. Now she says change your name as it's no defining part of you. If Medab changes her name from Louise, you still say it's the same human, and if the beautiful Panther KF-51 changes her name, she also stays the same tank. I'm gonna put it in my mouth, is that normal? Even though for most people, the only thing that remains the same from birth to death is their name, still, it's not what makes you you. मैं आपको कितना change कर सकती हूँ, and at what point would you stop being the same person? We are now at the problem. How do we define personal identity? What makes you the individual you are? Is it your mind, your body, your soul? Here's a thought experiment. I take two people, let's say you and Mahira Khan, and I take out your brain, your beliefs, memories, and perceptions, and put them in Mahira Khan's body, and I take out her brain and put it in your body. I will give one body $1 million, and I'll torture the other body. You decide who gets what. What do you choose? The answer will tell you where your sense of identity might lie. If I ran over your pet cat Oreo and replaced it with an exact replica, you wouldn't think it's the same cat. But if I took 500 rupees from you but gave you 500 rupees afterwards, you'd think it's the same money. That's because money is a placeholder for currency. It's fungible. Speaking of which, NFTs or non-fungible tokens were not only a complete scam. Aristotle said we all have an essence. आप इसको रूह समझ सकते हैं. इधर मैं पराठा बना रही हूँ. अगर मैं इसमें घी ना ऐड करूँ तो ये रोटी बन जाएगी. The ghee is what makes it a paratha. That's its essence. Now what's your ghee? Aristotle's Essentialism posits that things have a fundamental inherent nature or essence that defines their category and without which they cannot be that thing. I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. You're not Batman. You're barely above the poverty line, and that 1 to 5 is not a Batmobile. The problem with Ruh and Essentialism is it's a little philosophically absurd. When you make a claim like there are lizard people controlling the Illuminati, then there is a burden of proof on you. You have to prove to people through either logical reasoning or evidence that you are correct, neither of which you can provide for the proposition of a soul or a ruh. Are you sitting there thinking, what's the point of this discussion? Why does it matter? It matters because of promises and contracts. If I am constantly changing as a human, like I have nothing in common with 1-year-old Zainab except for my name. I don't have the memories, I don't have the body, nothing. If I am not the same person, how can I be bound by the same expectations of a contract or promise? If I hypothetically took out a 20-year loan when I was 1 year old, how could I be held accountable for it if I am not the same person? Mereological Essentialism says the second you change the first plank of that ship, it becomes a different object. That an object's parts are what make it what it is, and changing one thing makes it a completely new thing. It also says that we are constantly and perpetually changing. We are not the same people from birth to death. You can't step in a same river twice. David Hume said there is no single self that persists from birth to death, though in your chronically bitchless existence, that might not be true. He said your concept of me is an illusion. It's a collection of perceptions, relationships to people, dreams, goals, kinks. Put it all in a box and label it you, that's what you are, an illusion of self. You are your parts. Mereological nihilism takes this a step further. It says, in reality, no object exists. It's all a cosmic soup of atoms, and all the categorizations are just in our minds. During the production of this pen, at what point did it stop being plastic, metal, and ink and become a pen? When you decided it was a pen. When you perceived it as a pen. A pen maker would look at plastic, metal, and ink and perceive it as a pen, but I would only look at a finished product and call it a pen. Psychedelics. Nashe, particularly salvia, is known to cause ego dissolution. It causes distortions of space-time perception. When people trip on this stuff, they lose their perception of a self, the ego. People tripping on these shrooms spend years as objects, ceiling fans, sofas, Mexicans, literally fuck all. On psilocybin, they become the universe. They become everything. Their sense of self is gone. That's kind of what mereological nihilism is like. Also, I think I'm legally obligated to tell you they're illegal to consume, so grow them instead. Biodiversity. Here's what I think. We are an aspect of nature that is self-aware. The universe gave birth to an aspect of itself, and through us, it's experiencing itself. We are the universe experiencing itself through sight and hearing and mathematics and music and art. We are not in space. We are space. You are on a floating rock that is space, that is the universe. Your purpose, your objective is to exist. A robot is created for the purpose of completing tasks. As long as it's doing that, it's fulfilling its purpose. Your objective, your programming is to survive, live, and experience. As long as you're alive, you're doing great. In 1942, Ferdinand Porsche reached the rank of SS Oberführer. Imagine you carried Germany's military shenanigans and they called you the evil ruler Führer of Uber. It's stupid because it rhymes. Every British tank since the MK1 landship has a board applied specifically for making tea. I'm sorry, I'm not karungi. Actually, fuck you, मैं करूंगी. That's the outro. Bye.